Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Imagine you receive $10,000 as a gift, and one decision could determine whether that money makes you richer or saves you from losing thousands. Should you invest it and let the stock market compound your wealth, or should you use it to wipe out your debt and lock in a guaranteed return? The answer depends on one number that could make paying off your debt a far better investment than the stock market. So let's imagine you have $10,000, as I mentioned, and you could use it to pay off your credit cards, or you could invest it in the stock market and just allow compound interest work for you. Which one makes you richer? Which one should you choose? The answer seems quite obvious. If stocks can earn 8, 10, or even 12% a year, why not invest and keep your debt? But there is a problem. Your investment return is not guaranteed, but your debt interest rate is guaranteed. If you're paying 25% on a credit card, you need an investment return of more than 25% just to break even, and that's before taxes, fees, and risk. So today we're going to do the math, and by the end of this video you will know when you should pay off your debt, when you should invest, and when you might want to consider doing both. Let's start with the simplest way to think about this. Paying off debt gives you a guaranteed return that is equal to the interest rate that you're eliminating. Suppose you have $10,000, as I mentioned a couple times before. Suppose you have $10,000 of credit card debt at 20% APR. If you pay that debt off, you're effectively saving yourself roughly $2,000 per year in interest before considering the declining balance. That is a very attractive return, you would agree. And unlike the stock market, there is no market crash that can get in the way, that can turn that return negative. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau explains that the credit card interest is typically accrued based on the average daily balance, meaning the sooner you reduce the balance, the less interest you generally pay. And this is why high interest debt is so dangerous. You're not simply losing money today, you're giving up future money because interest keeps compounding against you. It keeps working against you. Let's make this very, very simple and concrete. Imagine you have $10,000 in credit card debt at 20% APR, and you also have a $10,000 balance that you carry in cash. Option number one is you invest your money, and option number two, you pay off your credit card. Now, suppose the investment earns an average of 8% annually. After 1 year, your investment would theoretically grow to about $10,800. So you will end up with a gain of $800 after 1 year. But your credit card is charging you approximately 20%, so you're paying roughly $2,000 in annual interest on that $10,000 balance that you're carrying before accounting for payments that reduce the balance. So, in other words, investment gain of about $800 versus debt cost of about $2,000. You're effectively losing the difference, and that is before taxes. This is why comparing the expected investment return with the debt's interest rate is so important. If your debt costs you 20% and your investment might or might not return 8%, the math strongly favors paying down your debt. Now, let's change the numbers. Suppose your debt has a fixed interest rate of only 5%, and you're considering investing in a diversified stock portfolio. Historically, stocks have generated substantial long-term returns, although future returns are never ever guaranteed. Now, the calculation becomes much more interesting. You're effectively choosing between a guaranteed 5% savings versus an uncertain investment return. If your investment earns 8%, you come out ahead. But if the market falls 20%, let's say, you could be dramatically worse off in the short term. This is where your personal circumstances do matter. What kind of debt is it? What is the interest rate? Is the rate fixed or variable? How long do you expect to keep the debt, and how much risk can you tolerate? What is your risk tolerance? There's no universal answer here, but there's another important factor to consider, and that factor is your employer's retirement match. Suppose your employer offers a 401k match and you contribute $1,000. Your employer contributes another $500. That is essentially an immediate 50% return on that contribution subject to the rules of your specific plan. The IRS specifically notes that employer matching contributions can provide additional money in your retirement account and that employees may be leaving money on the table by failing to contribute enough to receive the available match. So if you have high interest debt, that doesn't necessarily mean that you should stop contributing to your 401k. A reasonable priority for many people is first, contribute enough to capture the full employer match, and then aggressively attack your expensive debt. Then increase long-term investing once the high-interest debt is under control. The exact order, of course, depends on your situation, on your individual circumstances, on your risk tolerance, but the key point is don't casually turn down free employer money thinking that it's not worth it. Now, let's say you have multiple debts. Maybe you have credit card A with a 25% interest rate, then you have credit card B that carries a 19% interest rate, you have a car loan at a 7% interest rate, maybe you have a student loan. Let's say there is a 5% interest rate on your student loan. Which one should you pay off first? Mathematically, you generally want to attack the highest interest debt first, while making the required minimum payments on everything else. And this is known as the debt avalanche method. This is where paying down debt becomes increasingly attractive. Credit cards that charge you 15, 20, or 25% fall into this category. For most people, aggressively paying that debt down is difficult to beat with investing. Now there is medium interest debt too, which roughly carries between 5 to 8% interest rate. It's more of a judgment call. You might reasonably split your money between debt repayment and investing. There's also the third category, low interest debt, which falls below 5% interest rate. Investing can become more attractive here, particularly if you have a long investment horizon and can tolerate market volatility. But remember, these are rules of thumb, not laws. A 4% mortgage is very different from a 4% credit card balance. Taxes do matter too. Investment risk matters, liquidity matters, and your emergency fund matters as well. So here's the strategy that I would consider before making this an all or nothing decision. Don't ask, should I pay off debt or invest? Rather ask which dollar should go where. And you might actually keep an emergency fund. You might contribute enough to your 401k to capture the full employer match. You may pay down your high interest debt aggressively, and then you might invest additional money for long-term growth. And once that expensive debt is gone, go ahead and redirect the money that you were using for debt payment toward investing. This creates a very powerful transition, in my opinion. Imagine that you've been paying $800 per month toward credit card debt. Once the debt is gone, don't suddenly spend that $800. Many people would do that. Just go ahead and redirect it into investments or redirect it to paying off or paying down another debt. And that is how paying off debt can become the first step toward building wealth. So let's go back to our original question. You have $10,000, should you pay off your debt or invest? If the debt costs you 20 or 25%, paying it off is usually the obvious mathematical winner. If the debt costs you, let's say 5%, the decision is much closer. And if you have an employee retirement match, you should seriously consider contributing partially, part of that money. You should consider contributing enough to capture that match before aggressively paying down other debt. The biggest mistake is thinking that investing is automatically better because stocks have historically produced high returns. An expected return is not the same thing as a guaranteed return. Your credit card company doesn't care whether the stock market goes up or goes down. They will still want their money. They will want their interest. And that is why the smartest personal finance strategy isn't about chasing the highest possible return. It's about understanding the risk-adjusted return on every dollar that you control. Paying off a 25% debt isn't boring. It is a guaranteed financial return. And sometimes the best investment that you can make is getting out of debt. I hope that you enjoyed this quick video. Please consider subscribing, give this video a thumbs up, and I look forward to seeing you here on my channel again soon. Take care.